4 years of pain and suffering in my agency. It all started off with me making nothing, maybe a couple $100 a month. Out the gate, it was literally nothing. First year was like $1,500 a month on average. Second year was a few $1,000s a month on average, and it went up and up from there. But there was one thing that I was always optimizing for, you could say, in my agency, in business in general, and it's this idea of stepping stones. What I mean is, I think a lot of us start agencies without necessarily having agency be the end point in mind. For me, I started off looking to go into other businesses later. I didn't exactly know what I wanted to go into eventually, but I knew I wanted to build my skills. I want to talk to you about the pain and suffering here for a minute, because going an entire year making, 1.3K per month when you're full-time, you dropped out of school, all this kind of stuff, it's not easy. It's pretty challenging on you mentally. I was very unproductive, hence the low revenue. I wasn't working very much. I had really bad sales anxiety. I'm talking, it's 9 p.m. I have a sales call tomorrow at 3 a.m. and, I'm starting to get a pit in my chest for the rest of the night. I'll sleep at, let's say, 12. I wake up in the morning. I'm trying my best to ignore the fact that I have a 3 o'clock sales call. I'm doing okay until maybe 11. Pit in my chest until 3 o'clock when I have the call, whether it shows up or not. That's how bad my sales anxiety was. And that was really the first big hurdle I had to get over. And my thought to myself was, well, what am I going to do? Quit? What am I going to do? Not take the sales calls? Like, I don't have a backup. I put myself into this situation where all I could do was face this pain and suffering, basically. And that's the reality of it. Now, not everybody has sales anxiety like that. I think it's actually on the uncommon end of the spectrum. Although a fair amount of people do experience sales anxiety. But I just had to remind myself and be like, what am I going to do? Not do it? So, I chugged along. I signed some clients on. And the next thing that happens, we'll get back to the stepping stone stuff in a little bit. But the next thing that happens is, I sign a client on and, I run his ads for a few months. I'm doing the same thing that was working for other people. And then all of a sudden he sends me an email and he's like, thanks for wasting my time and money. I don't know if I can fully explain or articulate in a video how much that affected me and for how long that affected me. I don't know if any of you guys can relate to that, but that hurt bad. And I didn't know what happened. I didn't know what went wrong or why it went wrong, because I was running basically the same campaign previously with other clients, and I was calling the leads myself and it was working so well. But then with this guy, just nothing. And I became extremely insecure. I didn't think I was good enough. I was wondering why I even started my agency in the first place. And I felt like a fraud. I felt like a scam artist, even though I was doing my best to provide a good service and everything. It was a terrible feeling. And that was another thing that I had to deal with, and I found that in a couple other instances, clients came on and they had complaints about lead quality, and I'd get really, really anxious about having to pick up the phone and call them and talk to them and work things through with them. And I thought to myself, well, what am I going to do? Not do it? What's my fallback? What other choice do I have? I mean, sure, I could go do drop shipping again or something, get a job and fund some Facebook ads and whatever, but I had already shiny objected myself too many times, and I just kept on restarting. I was like, I can't keep doing this. Like, this is ridiculous. I'm just wasting my time spinning my wheels, just running in circles. And so I had to face my fears. And I did, and oftentimes things aren't as scary as you think they're going to be. And people really actually appreciate it when you want to help them out, and they can sense that. Those two examples were only from the first year of the 4 years. Where I'm trying to go with this is you're always going to have things like this. Now, I'm not saying you're always going to have unsatisfied clients, because ideally you learn from that, optimize, and then that's not an issue anymore, right? So I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is eventually it becomes, oh, I need to fire this person. I need to fire this appointment setter, which is something that had happened to me towards the end of the 4 years, or in my 4th year rather. I had to fire an appointment setter, and then I had to fire two sales reps, and then I had to fire another appointment setter. You have to have these hard conversations with people. You have to do things you don't want to do, and it can be hard to keep it together while you're doing this, because, as I mentioned before about the stepping stones, I'd gone into this business with a plan of building skills, learning how to provide a good service, customer support, marketing, sales, building offers, running ads, cold email, all of it, appointment setting, all of the little mini skills involved in building a business. I wanted to build those foundations. And, I didn't know how long it would take to become successful financially. And it was a really rough experience. It was very challenging for me mentally, all for this stepping stone reason. And you really need to tie yourself to a bigger vision. That was, in these 4 years, now it's been closer to 5. But in my first 4 years, those were my biggest learning lessons. It's going to be way harder than you often think it's going to be. And you really need some North Star, long-term vision goal to keep you going when things get hard, because otherwise, when I ask myself, what am I going to do, quit? A lot of people just go, I think I'm just going to quit. I don't want to do this. I don't like it. So yeah, now, if you want to work more closely with me, there's a link. I have a private scaling group. You can book a sales call with me in the description. If you don't want to do that, that's totally fine. Tons of videos on this channel. You can go to my other ones, watch those, whatever's popping up on screen now, and I'll see you there.